Good afternoon. This is Terry from the Frugal Connection. Welcome to my kitchen. It is a very dreary, rainy day here in Western New York. The problem is it's going to drop down below freezing tonight, so all that rain is going to turn back into ice. And it just seems like a kind of day that it would be nice to have a nice hot bowl of soup or something else. And so as I thought about it, I decided to make some ramen, and I want to invite you along as we make this. The first thing I'm going to start with is a block of extra firm organic tofu. I actually picked this up at Walmart, so it's not expensive. You can find it usually it's in the produce section of most grocery stores, and tofu is pretty inexpensive. Now, I know a lot of people do not like tofu. They tell me how gross it is, how this, how that. And I find a lot of it has to do with the way it's been prepared. Tofu is kind of like a blank canvas. It is a very neutral flavor. And so it has a lot to do with what spices you add to it, what type of seasoning you use that will make it taste great or not so great. So I've been making it enough now that I know that it can be very delicious. So I want to invite you along while I do that, and I'm going to grab a bowl and a knife and get this opened and squeeze out all that moisture that's in there. Okay, so all you're going to do is you're just going to run your knife along the side, and I usually run it down the front too. And then you just pull back the top layer of this packaging and just get all that liquid out of there. And now basically what I do is I just kind of give it a squeeze. I don't want to break it apart at this point because I want this to stay in the block, but I just want to try to get as much of the moisture out as I can this way. And then what I'm going to do is I have a tea towel here, and I just take my tea towel and I just keep it in a couple layers. All right, it's hard to do this with one hand, but all right. So then I just layer it like this. I wrap it all up inside this tea towel, and I'm going to put it on a plate. And then I just find something heavy to sit on it and set it to the side and forget about it for, I don't know, for about 15, 20 minutes. You can do it longer. The longer you let the moisture seep out, the easier it is to slice it. And for this recipe, I want to keep the moisture out of it. Okay, to make the broth, we're going to start with the broth while we're waiting for the tofu to leach out some of that moisture. We have an onion. I have 4 cloves of garlic. I have some carrots that I'm going to julienne. I need to peel them first. I have 2 cans of homemade vegetable broth that I canned. I have some baby Bella mushrooms. Shiitake mushrooms would work great in this, but I just don't have any. And I have some asparagus tips that I purchased, and I want to use that before they go bad. And then we're going to use some seasoning too, which I'm going to talk us through as I make the broth. All right, friends, I'm going to start by prepping the vegetables that I'm going to use to make the broth. And so I'm going to slice this onion. Now, green onions would be great in this, but again, I'm using what I have on hand, and that's kind of the nice thing about ramen is that it's very versatile, so you can use whatever you have. You can use different kinds of vegetables in it. If you're not eating plant-based only, you could add chicken or pork. Because I eat a plant-based whole food diet, I don't generally eat meat. I'm gonna stick with the tofu. And I'm going to show you how to prep that, but I want to get this broth started first so that it can be cooking while I'm doing the tofu. Okay, so now I'm just going to make very thin slices with this. I'm going to kind of use this as my junk bowl to put all the vegetable scraps in. Now, I don't throw out my veggie scraps because what I use them for is I have a bag I have in the freezer, a freezer bag, and I just pop them in there until I have a couple bagfuls, and then I will turn around and make some vegetable broth and then just can it myself. So I always have vegetable broth on hand. And it's super easy to make. As long as you have a pressure cooker, it works good. And then this way you're not wasting anything and you're not spending money on canned broth, which then in turn is just throwing those cans into either, you know, you can recycle them, but it just cuts down on your garbage and the waste. I think I'm just going to use one more of these garlic cloves. I'm just going to give them a rough chop. We're not going to dice these super small. Okay. Okay, I'm going to peel my carrots now. And then I'm going to cut them into little julienne strips. Okay, I'm going to save that carrot. I'm not sure I'm going to need it. All right, so I just want these in kind of small pieces, and then I'm just going to cut them into little julienne strips. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these mushrooms and I'm just going to slice them. All right, this is washed and ready to use, it says. And because they're already the tips, I don't have to, well, I might cut the bottoms off anyway. Just want to cut a little bit off the bottom. All right, we have our vegetables all prepped and ready to go. And now we're gonna get over to the stove and I'm gonna show you how to put this together. Okay friends, I do not use vegetable oil or any kind of oil in my cooking. So I'm gonna show you how to dry saute the vegetables. Basically, I'm gonna turn my stovetop on low and I'm gonna just get my onions in there. Using a good nonstick pan, and my stovetop is on medium low. Just let it go. You just let it be until the moisture starts to come out and they start to saute. If you find that your vegetables start to stick, you just add a couple tablespoons of water and it will release immediately. Okay, as you can see, the onions are getting soft and translucent. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my garlic and just give that a good cook for about a minute or two. Friends, I also have here a piece of garlic. I keep my garlic, I peel it when I buy it at the store. I'll usually buy a bunch of it. I'll peel it and then I will peel it and I will keep it in my freezer in a freezer bag and then just pull out the a chunk of it at a time. Like I pre-slice it into chunks that I think I'll use. And so what I'm going to do with this now is I'm just going to grate this, and because it's frozen it grates super easy with. Oh my goodness, it's starting to smell amazing. Love ginger. Give this a good stir. I think it needs a little water because the ginger is sticking. Oh, no, let go. It released. Okay friends, to this pan I am now gonna, that my onions, my garlic, my ginger are the right softness that I want. And now I'm gonna put in my pan about a tablespoon of low sodium soy sauce. Just gonna give that a stir. And I'm gonna open my jars here. Okay, I have my 2 jars of vegetable broth that I made myself. And these are, so this is 4 cups of vegetable broth. And I'm also going to add in 2 cups of water. But before I do that, I want to add my vegetables just so I make sure I have enough room in here. All right, so I'm adding in my carrots. I'm adding in my mushrooms. I'm adding in my asparagus. And I'm going to put the lid on this and let it simmer for a little while we work on the tofu. And I'm also going to put on a pot of water to boil for the noodles. What noodles I have are soba buckwheat noodles, and it says it's for soups and cold salads. You can use any kind of noodle you want. You can use brown rice noodles, but because I want a whole grain, I chose the buckwheat ones. Okay, friends, the broth is simmering, and I have the water on to boil so I can make my soba buckwheat noodles. And again, you can use any kind of noodle you want. You can use brown rice noodles. I suggest whole grain noodles, but if you're not a fan of that, then go ahead and use the regular rice noodles. But what we're going to work on now is the tofu, and we are making this we're making this as a spicy tofu, and I am going to use my air fryer I got an air fryer for Christmas. It's a game changer. So let me find here we go. Here's my knife. So basically what I'm going to do, all of the moisture, I mean, this really could have probably sat even longer, but most of the moisture is gone out of this, and I am just going to slice it, and then I'm going to cube it. And we are making this a spicy tofu. Now it's not going to be super spicy because I'm not a big fan of too hot, but so there you go. So I'm just making basically 1-inch cubes. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I have here 4 tablespoons of cornstarch, and I am just going to sprinkle it over the top and just give it a good mix. I want to coat every single piece with the cornstarch. Okay, I think I got it. It's pretty good. Now to this, what I'm going to do is I am going to add 2 tablespoons of low sodium soy sauce. And I'm done with that. Okay. And I'm going to start with just 1 tablespoon of sriracha hot sauce. All right, and let me give this a good mix. All right. What you want to do is just you got to be gentle with the tofu because it does break apart. So it's covered with the cornstarch, but now I'm just kind of putting a coating of this sauce on top. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, let me get my air fryer out and I will show you what we're gonna do. Okay friends, my husband got me a Ninja air fryer for Christmas and I was thrilled. I'm one of those ones that I get excited about kitchen gadgets. So I am gonna start this. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just throw this right in here. Trying to be careful to separate these pieces out and not destroy them in the process, because what's happened is that the cornstarch is stuck to my plate. All right. So what you want to do is just try to keep the pieces separate a little bit so that you get, so that all the sides of the tofu will get crispy. You don't want just half your tofu crispy and then the other side's not. I am going to set the temperature on this. I'm starting at 400. All right, I'm going to put this in here and press start. All right, I set this for 10 minutes and we'll see. I'll check it in a few minutes just to make sure it's not overcooking. Friends, I just want to show you what this broth looks like. It looks so delicious. It tastes delicious. I did add another tablespoon of soy sauce to it. But now what I'm going to add, I'm also going to add to it is I have some Swiss chard that a friend gave me from the summer, which it's been in my freezer and I want to use it up. So I'm just going to add the Swiss chard to that. I pre-chopped it so it's ready to go into whatever soups I want to use it for. And Swiss chard is a great addition to this. My soba noodles are almost done. I'm going to go add this to my broth. And I checked on the tofu and it's starting to crisp up a little bit, but it does need a little bit more time. My tofu is done. As you can see, it's nice and toasty. It's perfect crispness. Oh my goodness, it smells good too. I want to give it a taste. All right, we are going to assemble this and I'm going to show you how we're doing it. Okay, so I have my bowl of noodles here. I'm going to put my broth on it, over it, and I'm going to add my tofu, and I'm going to give it, I'm going to add a little bit of coriander on the top, and then we'll give it a taste test. Okay, here's our bowl of hot ramen. It smells so amazing. And it's got everything. It's a complete meal. It's got my grains, it's got my greens, it's got the protein with the tofu, and it's gonna hit the spot, I know. Wow. This is delicious. I want to encourage you to give it a try. I'll put the recipe down below, or the link to the recipe down below in the description box. You can find it on my website, thefrugalconnection.com. I can't wait to get into this. It's going to hit the spot tonight. It'll fill me up. It's exactly what I was looking for. And so I hope you'll try it, and I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you in the next video.